Commander Kang Hyun stood in the massive crystal chamber on Nexus Prime. The room was huge, with walls that sparkled like diamonds. Around him sat 12 different alien species, all staring at him with worried eyes. Some had blue skin, others had scales, and a few looked like they were made of light itself. But they all had one thing in common. They were afraid. Hyun wore his dark blue uniform with pride. The human flag on his shoulder showed Earth's colors against the black of space. He had been chosen to speak for all of humanity today. It was not going to be easy. The tall alien in the center spoke first. His voice was deep and cold. "Commander Hyun, we have called this meeting because of your people's new war fleet. We are very concerned." Admiral Park Soo sat behind Hyun at the human table. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair. She had commanded ships for 30 years and had never lost a battle. Next to her was Dr. Lee Na, who studied how different species fought wars. Her research had shocked everyone. "What exactly concerns you?" Hyun asked, keeping his voice calm. A red-skinned alien with 4 arms stood up. "Your Titan-class WarArmda ended 3 major conflicts in less than a week. 3 wars that had been going on for years. How is this possible?" Dr. Lee Na opened her tablet and looked at her notes. She had spent months studying this question. "If I may explain," she said quietly. "Humans fight differently than other species." The crystal chamber became very quiet. Everyone wanted to hear this. "Most species in the galaxy fight with honor codes or follow strict battle plans," Lee Na continued. "The Valorians fight face-to-face because they believe it shows courage. The Ethereals use energy weapons in patterns that have worked for thousands of years. But humans adapt." A blue alien with large eyes spoke up. "Adapt how?" Hyun stepped forward. "We learn from every fight. We change our tactics based on what works. We use our emotions to drive us forward, but we also use our minds to find new solutions." Park Soo stood up slowly. 3 months ago, the Valorians and the Kalani had been fighting over the mining rights in the outer spiral for 5 years. Both sides were losing ships and people every day. They asked us to help end the war. The red alien leaned forward. "And what did you do?" "We didn't fight either side," Park Soo said with a small smile. "We went to the asteroid field they were fighting over and started mining it ourselves. When both fleets came to stop us, we showed them something interesting." Lee Na touched her tablet and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a massive space battle, but something was wrong. The human ships were not shooting at the alien ships. Instead, they were using their weapons to break apart asteroids. "We showed them that the asteroid field had enough rare metals to supply both their worlds for 100 years, Park Soo explained. "We also showed them how to mine it safely. The war ended in 2 days because there was nothing left to fight about." A tall, thin alien made of what looked like silver light spoke up. "That is not how wars end. Wars end when one side defeats the other." Hyun shook his head. "That's exactly the problem. Humans learned long ago that the best way to win a war is to make sure it never needs to be fought. But when we do have to fight, we fight to end things quickly." The chamber filled with worried whispers. The aliens were talking to each other in their own languages, but Hyun could tell they were scared. The leader alien stood up again. "Commander Hyun, your people have been part of the Galactic Federation for 50 years. In that time, you have helped us solve many problems. But now we wonder if you have become too powerful." Park Soo's face became serious. "Too powerful for what?" "Too powerful for peace," the leader said. "Your war armada has ships that can move faster than anything we have ever seen. Your weapons can destroy entire fleets in minutes. Your tactics are so strange that our best military minds cannot understand them. What happens when humanity decides it no longer needs the Federation?" The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. Hyun knew this moment would come. Humanity had grown strong very quickly, and that scared other species. "The Federation has been our home for 50 years, Hyun said carefully. "Earth's children are spread across 100 worlds now. We have friends and family among your people. Why would we want to destroy that?" A small alien with green skin and big ears spoke up. "Because power changes people. We have seen it before. Species that become too strong often decide they should rule others." Lee Na stood up and walked to the center of the room. "May I share something from my research?" The leader nodded. "I have studied human history for 20 years. Humans have fought thousands of wars on their home planet. They learned something that no other species has had to learn." "What is that?" the blue alien asked. "They learned that being the strongest is not the same as being the winner. The strongest human nations did not always win their wars. The smartest ones did. The ones that could adapt and change and find new ways to solve problems. The silver alien glowed brighter. Are you saying humans are smarter than us? No, Lina said quickly. I am saying humans learned to think about war differently because they had to. On Earth, if you could not adapt, you died. If you could not change your tactics, your enemies would defeat you. This made humans very good at finding new solutions to old problems. The leader alien was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke again. The Federation Council has made a decision. We want to inspect your war armada. We want to see these ships and understand how they work. We want to know if humanity is a threat to galactic peace. Hyun felt his heart beat faster. This was the moment everything would change. And if we refuse? Then humanity will be asked to leave the Federation, the leader said sadly. We do not want this, but we must protect our people. Admiral Park-soo whispered something to Hyun. He nodded and looked around the chamber at all the worried alien faces. We accept your inspection, Hyun said. But I want you to understand something. When you see our ships and how they work, you will learn why we built them. You will learn about the threats that are coming from beyond our galaxy. Threats that only humanity has faced and survived. The chamber became very quiet again. What threats? The leader asked. Hyun smiled, but it was not a happy smile. You will see. When you inspect our armada, you will understand why we had to become so powerful, and you will understand why the galaxy needs us to stay that way. The meeting ended with more questions than answers. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, they whispered among themselves. Some looked scared, others looked angry, and a few looked curious. Hyun knew that in 3 months, when the inspection began, everything would change. The galaxy was about to learn what humanity was really capable of. The question was whether they would be grateful or terrified by what they discovered. 3 months later, Captain Choi Min watched the alien inspection fleet approach Jupiter's orbit. Their ships were beautiful in different ways. The Valorian ships looked like flying fortresses with thick armor and big guns. The ethereal ships seemed to be made of pure energy, glowing blue and white against the black of space. The other alien vessels each showed their own species' idea of what a warship should be, but none of them looked like human ships. Choi Min stood on the bridge of the Guardian, humanity's newest battleship. Through the main window, he could see the massive shipyards orbiting Jupiter. Hundreds of human ships were being built or repaired there. To alien eyes, they would look strange and wrong. Captain, his communications officer said, the inspection team is requesting permission to board. Send them to Docking Bay 3, Choi Min replied, and tell Chief Engineer Kim Bo to meet them there. The inspection team was led by General Veltar of the Valorians. He was huge, even for his species, with red skin and 4 powerful arms. His species believed that honor came from facing your enemies directly. Tech Sage Xiphon of the Ethereals floated beside him, her energy form constantly shifting colors. The other inspectors represented different alien military forces. Chief Engineer Kim Bo was waiting for them in the docking bay. She was a calm woman who had designed many of humanity's newest ships. She wore simple work clothes instead of a fancy uniform. Welcome aboard the Guardian, Kim Bo said with a smile. I hope you are ready for a long tour. General Veltar looked around the docking bay with confusion. This does not look like any warship I have seen. Where are the weapon displays? Where are the symbols of military power? Kim Bo laughed softly. That's because you're thinking like warriors. We think like engineers. Come, let me show you what I mean. She led them through corridors that were wider than normal ship hallways. The walls were covered with panels that could be removed quickly. Everything looked like it could be taken apart and put back together easily. Why are the corridors so wide? Asked a small alien with blue skin. Because when you're in battle, you need to move equipment and people quickly, Kim Bo explained. These corridors can fit medical stretchers, repair robots, and emergency supplies all at the same time. They stopped at a wall panel. Kim Bo touched it and it opened, showing complex machinery behind it. Every system on this ship has 3 backups, she said. If the main power fails, backup power starts immediately. If that fails, we have emergency power. If that fails, we have battery power that can keep the ship running for 6 hours. Tech Sage Xiphon's energy form pulsed with interest. This is quite excessive. Why not build better main systems? Because things break in war, Kim Bo said simply. Other species build ships that work perfectly under perfect conditions. We build ships that work when everything goes wrong. They moved to the weapons section. The alien inspectors expected to see huge guns and missile launchers. Instead, they found something that confused them. These weapons can change what they shoot, Lieutenant Commander Yoon-ha explained. She was young, but had already commanded 3 different ships. This gun can fire energy beams, solid projectiles, electromagnetic pulses, or even nets. General Veltar touched one of the weapons carefully. Why would you want to shoot nets? Because sometimes you want to capture an enemy ship instead of destroying it, Yoon-ha said. Sometimes you want to disable their weapons without killing their crew. Sometimes you want to tangle their engines so they cannot escape. The Valorian general looked upset. Where is the honor in using nets? A warrior should face his enemy with equal weapons. Yoon-ha looked at him with serious eyes. General, with respect, honor does not win wars. Results do. If I can stop an enemy without killing anyone, that is better than destroying them. The inspection team spent hours looking at human ships. Everything they saw confused them more. Human vessels did not follow any of the rules that other species used. In the computer room, a young alien technician asked about the human battle computers. Your computers seem to make random decisions, the technician said, looking at the data screens. Not random, explained Captain Park Dal, who had joined the tour. Unpredictable. Our computers can choose from thousands of different battle plans instantly. They can change tactics every few seconds if needed. But how do your crews know what to do? Tech Sage Xiphon asked. They improvise, Park Dal said with a grin. Human crews trained for situations where nothing goes according to plan. We practice fighting when our computers are broken, when our weapons are damaged, when our ships are falling apart. The alien inspectors looked at each other with worry. The tour continued to the training rooms, where they watched human crews practice. What they saw made them even more concerned. Human trainees were fighting simulated battles where everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Their ships were damaged, their weapons were broken, and their computers were offline. But the humans kept fighting anyway. This scenario is impossible, said a tall alien with green scales. No crew could win under these conditions. Lieutenant Commander Yoon-ha smiled. Watch. On the training screen, a human crew was fighting 3 enemy ships with only half their weapons working. Instead of retreating, they used their damaged ship as a weapon, ramming one enemy while their remaining guns destroyed the others. They won by using their ship as a missile, the green alien said in shock. They won by refusing to give up, Yoon-ha corrected. Human crews are trained to keep fighting even when victory seems impossible. General Veltar was quiet for a long time. Then he spoke in a low voice. Your people do not fight like warriors. They fight like something else. Like survivors, Captain Choi Min said, appearing behind them. General, my people learned to fight on a world where nature itself tried to kill them. Storms, earthquakes, diseases, predators. Earth taught humans that the universe does not care about honor or fair fights. It only cares about who survives. The inspection team spent 3 days examining human ships and training methods. With each hour, they became more worried. These were not just bigger, better weapons. This was a completely different way of thinking about war. On the last day, Tech Sage Xiphon asked the question that all the inspectors were thinking. Captain Choi Min, why did humanity build ships like this? What enemy were you preparing to fight? Choi Min looked out the window at the stars beyond Jupiter. His face was serious and sad. An enemy that doesn't negotiate. An enemy that doesn't retreat. An enemy that keeps coming no matter how many times you defeat it. He turned back to the aliens. We built these ships to fight the Void Swarm. The inspection team had never heard this name before, but something about the way Choi Min said it made them feel cold. What is the Void Swarm? General Veltar asked quietly. Something that comes from beyond our galaxy, Choi Min replied. Something that has been testing our defenses for 5 years. Something that your people have never faced because we've been stopping it before it reaches Federation space. The alien inspectors looked at each other with new understanding. Humanity's strange ships and unusual tactics were not built to conquer other Federation species. They were built to fight something much worse. You will include this in your report? Choi Min asked. Tech Sage Xiphon's energy form flickered with uncertainty. We will report what we have seen. But, Captain, the Federation Council will want proof of this threat you speak of. Choi Min nodded slowly. Then I suppose they will get it, because the Void Swarm is coming, whether the Federation believes in it or not. And when it arrives, you will understand why humanity had to become so powerful. The inspection team left Jupiter's orbit with more questions than answers. They had seen humanity's military might, but they still did not understand if humans were protectors or conquerors. That decision would have to wait for the Federation Council to decide. Fleet Admiral Songjun did not want to fight today. The old warrior stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, humanity's largest battleship, and watched 60 alien vessels move into attack formation. They were in the Kepler system, far from any inhabited worlds where a demonstration could not hurt anyone. The Federation Council wanted to see human ships in action. They wanted proof of how dangerous humanity's WarArmda really was. Songjun was about to give them more proof than they bargained for. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "the alien fleet is ready. They're asking if we need more time to prepare." Songjun almost smiled at that. 12 human ships against 60 alien vessels, and the aliens were asking if humans needed more time. They still did not understand. "Tell them we are ready," Songjun said, "and patch me through to all ships." Commander Shin-A was leading the human battle group from her ship, the Storm Rider. She was young for a commander, only 30 years old, but she had grown up learning human military tactics. To her, fighting like this felt natural. "All ships, this is Admiral Songjun." His voice came through the speakers. "Remember, this is a demonstration, not a war. Show them what human crews can do, but do not embarrass them too badly. We still need to work with these people tomorrow." Captain Lee Wan laughed from his ship, the Nighthawk. "Understood, Admiral. We'll try to be gentle." The alien fleet spread out in a standard attack formation. It was a good formation, one that had worked for thousands of years against other alien species. The Valorian ships took the front positions, ready to charge forward with honor. The ethereal ships positioned themselves to provide long-range energy support. The other species arranged themselves according to their own battle traditions. It was exactly what Commander Shin-A expected them to do. "All ships," she said into her communicator, "execute pattern Delta 7. Dr. Youngmi watched from the observation deck of the Indomitable. She was not a military officer, but a scientist who studied how different species behaved in battle. She had sensors attached to the alien ships to measure their crew's stress levels and decision-making patterns. What she saw in the first 30 seconds of the battle shocked her. The human ships did not attack. Instead, they seemed to vanish. Where did they go? General Veltar's voice came over the communication channel. His Valorian battlecruiser was scanning space frantically. The humans had not actually disappeared. They had moved into the asteroid field that filled this part of the Kepler system. But they were not hiding behind the asteroids like most species would do. They were using the asteroids as weapons. Captain Lee Wan's ship, the Nighthawk, fired a single shot at a large asteroid. The rock exploded, sending thousands of smaller pieces flying toward the alien fleet. The aliens had to use their energy shields to protect themselves. While they were distracted by the asteroid debris, Commander Shin-A led 3 human ships in an attack on the alien fleet's left side. But again, they did not attack the way aliens expected. Instead of firing their weapons, the human ships used their engines to change the direction of the asteroid pieces. Suddenly, rocks that had been flying harmlessly past the alien ships were now flying directly at them. "This is impossible," Tech Sage Xiphon said over the communication channel. "They are using the battlefield itself as a weapon." The alien fleet tried to respond with traditional tactics. The Valorian ships charged forward to engage the humans in direct combat. The ethereal ships fired energy beams to clear paths through the asteroid field. But the humans were no longer where they expected them to be. Captain Park Dal had taken his ship, the Thunderstrike, to the far side of the asteroid field. From there, he used the gravity of a small moon to slingshot his ship at incredible speed directly at the alien formation. The aliens saw him coming and prepared to shoot him down. But as his ship approached, it suddenly split apart. "His ship is breaking up," an alien officer reported. "No," Dr. Youngmi said quietly, watching her instruments. "It's not breaking up. It's transforming." The Thunderstrike had been designed to separate into smaller pieces when needed. Now, instead of one ship attacking the alien fleet, there were suddenly 6 smaller ships coming from 6 different directions. The alien fleet was completely confused. Their sensors could not track all the human ships. Their tactical computers could not predict what the humans would do next. Worst of all, their crews were starting to panic. Dr. Youngmi watched her stress level monitors with amazement. The alien crews were showing fear responses that she had never seen before in battle simulations. It was not fear of dying. Alien warriors were brave. It was fear of the unknown. Admiral Song Jun came a transmission from the alien fleet. We request a pause in the exercise. Song Jun looked at his tactical display. The battle had been going on for only 12 minutes. In that time, the human ships had destroyed 23 alien vessels without losing a single ship of their own. Granted, Song Jun replied. All human ships hold position. The alien fleet regrouped at a safe distance from the asteroid field. General Veltar's voice came over the communication channel again. But this time he sounded different, worried. Admiral Song Jun, your tactics are unusual. We have never seen anything like this before. That's the point, Song Jun replied. General, your people fight with honor and tradition. Those are good things, but our enemies do not care about honor. They care about winning. Commander Shin-A brought her ship out of the asteroid field and moved slowly toward the alien fleet. General Veltar, may I ask you something? Of course, Commander. How long have the Valorians been using the same battle formations? There was a pause. Our formations have been proven in battle for over 3,000 years. And how long have the Ethereals been using their energy weapon patterns? Tech-Sage Xiphon answered this time. Our weapons technology has been perfected over many centuries. That's the problem, Shin-A said gently. You've been fighting the same way for thousands of years. Your enemies know exactly what you're going to do because you always do the same thing. Captain Li Wan's voice joined the conversation. Humans learn that if you do the same thing over and over, your enemies will find ways to beat you. So we change our tactics constantly. Dr. Youngmi was studying her data from the battle. The readings were incredible. Admiral, I'm seeing something interesting in the alien crew responses. What is it, Doctor? They're not just confused by our tactics. They're confused by our thinking. Their brains literally cannot predict what we'll do next because we think about problems differently than they do. Song Jun nodded. This was what he had expected. Doctor, please explain that to our alien friends. Dr. Youngmi activated the fleet-wide communication channel. Honorable representatives of the Federation species, what you just experienced was not superior technology. It was a different way of thinking about problems. How so? General Veltar asked. Most species develop one good solution to a problem and then stick with it. Humans develop many solutions and switch between them as needed. In this battle, the human ships changed tactics 17 times in 12 minutes. Tech-Sage Xiphon's energy form pulsed with confusion. But how do your crews coordinate if you keep changing plans? Commander Shin-A answered, We don't coordinate the way you do. We don't follow rigid plans. Instead, we all understand the goal and trust each other to improvise ways to reach it. Improvise? General Veltar sounded shocked. You make up your tactics during the battle? Always, Captain Li Wan said. Every battle is different. Every enemy is different. So we have to be different too. The alien fleet was quiet for several minutes. Finally, General Veltar spoke again. Admiral Song Jun, we surrender this exercise. Song Jun was surprised. General, the exercise is not over. We agreed to a full battle simulation. No, Admiral. The exercise is complete. We have learned what we came to learn. And what is that? General Veltar's voice was heavy with worry. We have learned that if humanity ever decides to become our enemy, we cannot stop you. Not because your ships are stronger, but because we cannot think the way you think. Dr. Youngmi looked at her stress monitors again. The alien crews were not just worried anymore. They were genuinely afraid. The demonstration was over, but the real questions were just beginning. As the ships prepared to return to their home systems, everyone knew that the Federation Council would have to make a very difficult decision. Admiral Song Jun stood alone on his bridge, looking out at the stars. He hoped the aliens would understand that humanity's power was not a threat to them, but he knew that fear was often stronger than hope. The galaxy was about to learn whether humanity would be accepted as protectors or rejected as a danger. Either way, the universe was changing, and there was no going back. Ambassador Quan Seo had never seen the Galactic Council chamber so tense. The crystal walls seemed darker today, and the usual polite conversations between alien species were replaced by worried whispers. Representatives from 12 different worlds sat in their assigned seats, but their attention was focused on the center of the room, where a holographic display showed the battle from Kepler system. For the third time that day, The Council watched 12 human ships defeat 60 alien vessels in less than 15 minutes. Each viewing made the aliens more uncomfortable. The demonstration was educational, said High Counselor Tethran, the tall leader of the Federation Council. His voice was carefully neutral, but Quan Seo could see the worry in his large, dark eyes. Ambassador Quan Seo stood at the human delegation table. She was a diplomat, not a soldier, but she had spent 40 years learning how to talk to alien species. Today she would need all of that experience. High Counselor, she said respectfully. I believe the demonstration raised more questions than it answered. General Veltar stood up from the Valorian section. His red skin looked darker than usual and his forearms moved restlessly. Ambassador Quan, your ships fought like nothing we have ever seen. You used tactics that should not work. You won battles that should have been impossible. That troubles you? Quan Seo asked. Yes, the general said honestly. In 3,000 years of warfare, the Valorians have never encountered an enemy we could not understand. But watching human ships fight, it was like trying to predict the wind. Tech Sage Xiphon's energy form flickered as she spoke. The tactical computers of every species in the Federation have tried to analyze human battle methods. None of them can create successful counter-strategies. A small blue alien with large eyes spoke up. This means that in any conflict, humans would have an enormous advantage over any Federation species. That is not a comfortable thought, added a green-scaled reptilian representative. High Counselor Tethran raised his hand for silence. These concerns are why we are here today. The Federation must decide whether humanity's military capabilities represent a threat to galactic peace. Quan Seo had expected this moment. High Counselor, may I present some information that was not included in the inspection report? You may proceed. Quan Seo activated her datapad and a new holographic display appeared. It showed star charts of the galaxy's outer rim, far from any Federation worlds. 5 years ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected unusual energy signatures from beyond the galactic edge, she began. These signatures did not match any known Federation technology. The chamber became very quiet. Several alien representatives leaned forward to get a better look at the display. We sent scout ships to investigate, Quan Seo continued. 3 ships were sent. Only 1 returned. A new image appeared in the hologram. It showed a human ship that looked like it had been partially dissolved. The metal hull had holes burned through it in strange patterns. The surviving ship brought back recordings of the encounter, Quan Seo said. What they found was unlike anything in Federation records. Captain Park Dal entered the chamber carrying a sealed data container. He was the same officer who had demonstrated ship separation tactics in the Kepler battle. Today his face was grim. Captain Park Dal was the commander of the surviving scout ship, Quan Seo explained. Captain, please tell the Council what you encountered. Park Dal activated the data container and the holographic display changed. Now it showed space filled with dark moving shapes that seemed to absorb light. We call them the Void Swarm, Park Dal said in a quiet voice. They appeared to be ships, but they moved like living creatures. They flowed through space like water, changing shape as they traveled. The alien representatives stared at the images with growing alarm. When we tried to communicate with them, they did not respond, Park Dal continued. When we tried to retreat, they followed us. They seemed to learn from everything we did. Every time we used a tactic, they adapted to it within minutes. How did you escape? General Veltar asked. By doing something completely random, Park Dal replied. We shut down all our systems and pretended to be space debris. For 6 hours we drifted in space while they searched for us. When they finally left, we limped home. High Counselor Tethran looked troubled. Captain, why was this information not shared with the Federation immediately? Ambassador Quan Seo answered. Because we were not sure what we had encountered. We needed to gather more information before alarming the entire galaxy. And what did you learn? Asked the blue alien. Captain Park Dal's expression became even more serious. We learned that the Void Swarm was not just exploring. They were testing us. A new series of images appeared in the hologram. They showed battle damage on human ships, but also images of strange alien vessels being destroyed. Over the past 5 years, the Void Swarm has sent 17 different probe fleets into our galaxy, Park Dal explained. Each fleet was larger and more advanced than the last. Each time they tested different tactics against our defenses. And each time human forces stopped them, Quan Seo added. But it has not been easy. The images showed massive space battles. Human ships using impossible tactics against enemies that seemed to change shape and size during combat. Some battles lasted days, with human crews fighting without rest against enemies that never seemed to tire. The reason human ships are built the way they are, Kwanseo continued, is because conventional tactics do not work against the Void Swarm. They adapt too quickly. The only way to fight them is to be completely unpredictable. Tech Sage Xiphon's energy form pulsed rapidly. Are you saying that humanity developed its military capabilities specifically to fight this threat? Yes, Kwanseo replied. Every ship design, every weapon system, every tactical doctrine, all of it was created to fight an enemy that learns from every encounter. General Veltar stood up slowly. And you have been protecting the galaxy from this threat for 5 years without telling us? We tried to handle it quietly, Captain Parkdal said. We hoped the probes would stop coming. We hoped we could solve the problem without involving the Federation in a war it was not prepared to fight. But the probes have not stopped coming, Kwanseo admitted. In fact, our analysis suggests that the Void Swarm is preparing for a major invasion. The probe fleets have been gathering intelligence about all Federation defenses, not just human ones. The chamber erupted in worried voices as alien representatives talked among themselves. The prospect of an unknown enemy was frightening enough, but an enemy that could adapt to any tactic was terrifying. High Counselor Tethron called for order. Ambassador Quan, what evidence do you have that this invasion is coming? Kwanseo activated her datapad again. The holographic display showed a massive dark cloud at the edge of the galaxy. It was moving slowly but steadily toward Federation space. Our long-range sensors detected this formation 6 months ago, she said. It is approximately 10,000 ships strong and growing. Based on its current speed, it will reach the outer Federation worlds in 18 months. The chamber fell completely silent. The scale of the threat was beyond anything the Federation had ever faced. Can it be stopped? Asked the green-scaled reptilian. Captain Parkdal looked around the chamber at all the worried alien faces. Individually, no Federation species could stop the Void Swarm. Their conventional tactics would be learned and countered within hours. But together, High Counselor Tethron asked, together with human tactical leadership and combined Federation resources, we might have a chance, Kwanseo said. But it would require the entire galaxy to accept humanity as its military protectors. General Veltar sat down heavily. So our choice is to trust humanity with our security, or face extinction from an enemy we cannot understand. That appears to be the situation, Kwanseo agreed. The chamber was quiet for a long time as the alien representatives considered their options. Finally, the blue alien spoke. What guarantees do we have that humanity will not use its military power against Federation worlds? Kwanseo had been expecting this question. The same guarantee you have always had. Our mutual dependence. Humanity's children live on your worlds. Our economies are intertwined. Our futures are connected. We gain nothing by conquering you and lose everything by protecting you. And if we refuse to accept human military protection? Asked Tech Sage Xiphon. Captain Parkdal answered grimly. Then in 18 months, when the Void Swarm arrives, you will understand why we built our WarArmda to be so powerful. The question is whether that understanding will come in time to save your worlds. High Counselor Tethran stood up. The Federation Council will need time to consider this information. We will reconvene tomorrow to vote on humanity's role in galactic defense. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, many of them looked back at the holographic display showing the approaching dark cloud. Tomorrow they would have to choose between fear of human power and fear of alien invasion. Ambassador Kwanseo remained in the chamber after everyone else had left, staring at the image of the Void Swarm. She hoped the Federation would make the right choice. Because if they did not, humanity would have to face the coming storm alone. 6 months had passed since the Federation Council's vote, and Supreme Admiral Kobin still remembered every word of the final debate. The decision had been close, and 7 votes in favor, 5 against, but it had changed everything. Humanity was now officially the Federation's protector species, with authority over all military operations and the responsibility for defending 12 different worlds. Bin stood in the command center of Alpha Centauri Station, watching the construction of the largest fleet in galactic history. Human shipyards worked alongside alien manufacturing facilities, building vessels that combined the best technology from every Federation species. But the ships still fought like human ships, unpredictable, adaptable, and terrifyingly effective. Admiral, Commander Nam Su reported from his position at the tactical display. The joint training exercises are showing improvement. The alien crews are starting to understand human command methods. Kobin nodded but did not smile. The integration had been difficult. Alien officers struggled with human military doctrine that valued flexibility over protocol. Human officers had to learn to work with species whose thinking processes were completely different from their own. How are the Valorians adapting? Kobin asked. General Veltar's crews are learning to improvise, Nam Su replied. It goes against their honor traditions, but they understand the necessity. The ethereals are having more trouble. Their energy forms make it difficult for them to operate human-designed equipment. The command center's main screen showed the results of the latest training exercise. Mixed crews of humans and aliens had successfully completed a complex battle simulation, but it had taken them twice as long as an all-human crew would have needed. It will have to be good enough, Kobin said quietly, because they're coming. 3 days earlier, long-range sensors had detected the leading edge of the void swarm entering the outer rim of the galaxy. The dark ships moved in formations that seemed to change constantly, flowing through space like a living cloud of destruction. Admiral Yu Ra's voice came through the communication system from the bridge of the flagship, Indomitable. Admiral Kobin, we're receiving reports from the outer monitoring stations. The void swarm has split into multiple fleets. Kobin activated the main tactical display. The holographic map of the galaxy showed 3 separate groups of dark ships approaching from different directions. Each group contained thousands of vessels. They're not attacking randomly, Kobin observed. They're trying to divide our forces. Commander Nam Su studied the enemy formations. It's a classic pincer movement, but on a galactic scale. If we concentrate our forces to stop one group, the others will attack undefended worlds. Then we won't concentrate our forces, Kobin decided. We'll give them what they expect, and then do something they don't expect. The Federation defense plan had been carefully prepared over the past 6 months. Instead of meeting the void swarm in massive fleet battles, humanity would use smaller, mobile task forces that could strike quickly and disappear before the enemy could adapt. Admiral Yu Ra took command of the main fleet defending the core Federation worlds. Her ships included vessels from every Federation species, with human officers providing tactical coordination and alien crews contributing their unique abilities. The first contact came at the Proxima defense line, where Commander Park Yung led a mixed force of 30 ships against a void swarm probe fleet of over 200 vessels. All ships. This is Commander Park. Her voice came through the fleet communication system. Remember your training. Do not engage in prolonged combat. Hit hard, retreat, and let them chase you into the asteroid field. The battle began exactly as the humans had planned. The Federation ships attacked the void swarm formation with a coordinated strike that destroyed dozens of enemy vessels in the first few minutes. But instead of pressing the attack, they immediately retreated. The void swarm ships followed them just as expected. But as they entered the asteroid field, they discovered that the humans had spent weeks preparing the battlefield. Hidden among the asteroids were automated weapon platforms, magnetic mines, and gravity generators that could change the movement of both ships and debris. What looked like a retreat turned into an elaborate trap. Void swarm vessels are adapting to our mine configurations, reported Lieutenant Kim. So from her technical analysis station, they're learning to detect the hidden weapons. Then it's time for Phase 2, Commander Park replied. All ships execute Pattern Chaos 7. Pattern Chaos 7 was a human tactical innovation that no alien species had ever attempted. Instead of following a coordinated battle plan, each ship was given a different objective and told to accomplish it using whatever methods they chose. The result was exactly what the pattern's name suggested: chaos. Federation ships attacked from dozens of different directions using completely different tactics. Some ships used energy weapons, others used projectiles, and a few used gravitational manipulation to turn asteroids into weapons. The Void Swarm's adaptive intelligence, which had easily countered organized tactics, could not adjust to 30 ships that were all doing different things at the same time. Enemy fleet is withdrawing, reported Commander Park. They've lost 60% of their ships and cannot predict our next move. The victory at Proxima was repeated at 17 other battle sites across the galaxy. Human-led Federation forces used unpredictable tactics to defeat much larger Void Swarm fleets. But Kobin knew that these were still just probe attacks. The main invasion force was yet to come. President Anji arrived at Alpha Centauri Station to observe the defense preparations. She was a civilian leader, not a military officer, but she understood the political implications of humanity's new role. "Admiral Kobin," she said as they stood together watching the fleet preparations, "the other Federation species are grateful for our protection, but they're also afraid of us." "I know," Kobin replied. "General Veltar told me that his people are having trouble sleeping. They keep wondering what would happen if humans decided to conquer instead of protect." "And what did you tell him?" "I told him that humans learned long ago that conquering people is much harder than protecting them. Conquerors have to fight constantly to maintain control. Protectors only have to fight when something threatens their friends." President Anji nodded. "The Federation Council is still debating additional restrictions on human military authority. They want oversight committees and approval processes for major operations." Kobin turned to look at her. "And what did you tell them?" "I told them that in the middle of a war against an adaptive enemy, bureaucracy is more dangerous than any human ambition." The main screen in the command center suddenly flashed red. Admiral Ura's face appeared, her expression grim. "Admiral Kobin, long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures at the Galactic Rim. The main Void Swarm fleet is beginning its final approach." Kobin activated the tactical display. The approaching enemy fleet was enormous. Over 50,000 ships in a formation that stretched across multiple star systems. "How long until they reach Federation space?" Kobin asked. 18 hours, Ura replied. "Admiral, this fleet is 3 times larger than our intelligence estimates. We're going to need every ship and every tactical advantage we can get." Kobin looked around the command center at the mixed crews of humans and aliens working together to coordinate the galaxy's defense. 6 months ago, these species had been afraid to trust humanity with military authority. Now they were trusting humans with their survival. "All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Kobin," he announced over the galaxy-wide communication network. "The enemy we have been preparing to fight is finally here. In 18 hours, we will face the largest invasion force in galactic history." He paused, looking at the faces of human and alien officers on screens throughout the command center. "I want everyone to remember why we fight. We are not fighting for conquest or glory. We are fighting for the right of every species to exist freely in this galaxy. We are fighting for our homes, our families, and our future." Captain Osung entered the command center carrying reports from the training facilities. He had spent the past months preparing the next generation of human fleet commanders, teaching them the responsibilities that came with their power. "Admiral," Osung said quietly, "the young officers are asking if humanity will still be welcome in the Federation after this war is over." Kobin considered the question. Humanity's role as galactic protector was supposed to be temporary, lasting only until the Void Swarm threat was eliminated. But everyone knew that military authority, once given, was difficult to take back. "Captain O," Kobin said finally, "tell the young officers that our job is to win this war, and then prove that we can be trusted to give up power when it's no longer needed. And if the Federation asks us to dismantle our WarArmda after the threat is over," Kobin looked out at the stars where the approaching enemy fleet would soon appear, "then we will dismantle it. Because the greatest victory is not conquering your enemies, it's convincing your friends that they have nothing to fear from." The command center became busy with final preparations as the Federation's combined fleets moved into position. Humanity's WarArmda, the same fleet that the Federation had once wanted to ban, was now the galaxy's only hope for survival.